Hello friends, welcome back to Telecom Talk. Today we are going to be comparing the pictures from the OnePlus 11 as well as the iPhone 14 and we'll be determining which device is actually better. Do watch the video till the end so that you can get my take on which device actually has a better camera. And at the end I would also like to hear your thoughts about which device you felt is better in the camera department. Let's without wasting any more time just go ahead and check out the camera samples. So guys, let's start with the first picture, and here you can see that on the left side we have an image from the iPhone 14 and on the right side we have an image from the OnePlus 11. Now both of these devices were placed right alongside each other, so the distance and the lighting for both the devices was the same, as the image was taken from the same angle, same area, same time. So as you can see, this is the normal primary camera sensor that has been used, the normal mode 1x mode for clicking the photo. And the difference is with the iPhone 14 that you can see that the image has more sort of a cool tone, while with the OnePlus 11 you see a more warmer tone. But that is not the only difference, guys. If you have to take my opinion, since I was there at the point when these pictures were being clicked, I was the one clicking it. So what I can tell you is, when it comes to the lighting and the details and basically overall things that have been captured by the camera of both the devices, I think the OnePlus 11 captured it more accurately. Now the processing that happens after the picture has been shot, it happens separately in both the devices, and you will definitely get different results with any other smartphone that you bring here, even if it's the Galaxy S23 or the Google Pixel 7 or 7 Pro. But just among these two, if you take my opinion, I think the OnePlus 11 stood out for me. But again, the iPhone 14 is not actually really bad. It's also good, but just from the perspective of the color of the leaves and all, I think iPhone 14 did a little bit extra processing, but the OnePlus 11 kept it more natural. So this is my take on this first picture from both the devices. Now for the second image, guys, I've used the ultra-wide angle sensor of both the smartphones from the same place at the same time, and again with the same lighting effect. The difference again you can see here is the iPhone 14's image is actually looking a little bit over processed, while the OnePlus 11 retains the original color. I love the vibrancy that OnePlus 11's image is actually delivering here. So OnePlus 11 is actually very good with the details also. If you see, and if you just compare the grass area in both the images, you'll see that the OnePlus 11 has a slightly more greener grass, while the iPhone 14 doesn't. Now, I am not saying that the iPhone 14's image is actually bad. On a standalone basis, it is as good as any device can give you. But when it is simply compared with the OnePlus 11, I think the OnePlus 11 is actually standing out for me here again. Now, note that OnePlus 11 uses a 48 megapixel IMX 581 camera sensor from Sony for the ultra-wide angle sensor, while the iPhone 14 uses again a Sony camera sensor. I don't know the details because Apple never really tells us which sensor it is using, but it is of Sony and it's a 12 megapixel sensor. So there is a difference in the sensors that are being used, but when it comes to the final results and the processing, I just love the OnePlus 11 over here. And then note that I have no bias over any of these devices, but just from the results that I've captured, and because I was there while the images were being shot, I can really tell you which image is actually more accurate with the colors, with the effects, and which is not really so much. So here again the OnePlus 11 is the winner for me. Let's go ahead to the next image. Here I have used a 2x optical zoom shot. Now you can see that there's a lot of exposure in the iPhone 14's image, while the OnePlus 11 is again playing really well with the colors. I've just loved the way OnePlus 11 is working with the camera overall. Hasselblad partnership, I think it's actually really working out for us. OnePlus 11 Note, that is slightly, it's not fair to say slightly, but I guess it's way more affordable than the iPhone 14 right now. And if you just see, again, I'm not saying, iPhone 14's image is bad as such, but if you just look at the sky area, you can see that there's a overexposure at the top. And then if you see and look at the OnePlus 11 shot, I think the image is very, very much better than the one shot on the iPhone 14. because even when you compare the leaves that are on the tree, okay, and then the grass as well as the skyline area, I think the OnePlus 11 did a fantastic job of capturing the accurate real details. Now let's go ahead and see the next shot, which is actually a 5x zoom. So here you can again see that the iPhone 14 plays with a very cool tone while the OnePlus 11 plays with a very warmer tone. And again, because the sunlight was there, I can very much tell you that the iPhone 14's image doesn't look natural. OnePlus 11, while on the other hand, is delivering a fantastic job here because the colors are really very accurate and the details are actually very much better than what I got on the iPhone 14. So if it is a zoom shot that you're after, I think OnePlus 11 should be your choice. One more thing that I'd like you guys to know here is the iPhone 14's maximum zoom capacity is 5x while the OnePlus 11's maximum zoom capacity is 20x. This is again a 5x zoom shot that I took from the iPhone 14 and the OnePlus 11. Again, you can see the difference very clearly here. I think OnePlus 11 again stood out for me. iPhone 14 does a little bit of over processing. I think it's not really getting the accurate colors. The details are good on the iPhone 14 side as well, but the OnePlus 11 is actually, I would say 30% or 40% much better than the capture from the iPhone 14. Now the next image is a shot that I actually thought of taking what happens when the sun is right behind us. So the sun was in the opposite direction and the light was right in front of us. So this is the result. I think here OnePlus 11 is again delivering the more accurate colors, but if it comes to results and personal choices, I think I would side a little bit more with the iPhone 14s because this is where I would actually need a slightly bit cooler tone. But I appreciate what OnePlus 11 is actually doing here because OnePlus 11 is giving me a more accurate result while iPhone 14 is actually playing around and processing the image in a manner which I think would suit most of the users, and there wouldn't be much editing involved with the iPhone 14's image. I personally don't think there's any editing involved for the OnePlus 11 or required is what I mean, but there is a chance that the OnePlus 11's final result with any other subject might be a little different. So what I did was I actually tried that out. But before I show you those results, I'll show you 2x shot over here. Okay, so when it came to the 2x shot, iPhone 14 actually tried to deliver natural colors as well, but the OnePlus 11's image again stood out for me. OnePlus 11 is actually balancing the colors very much well because if you look at the iPhone 14, the yellow slate that is there, it's also a bit more yellow than it actually was, and the OnePlus 11 on the other hand is actually giving me a much better capture because that is what exactly the yellow slate or the yellow slide looked like. So again, if it comes to the preference, I would actually go with the results of the OnePlus 11. Now this is a shot that is actually really confusing me because both the devices couldn't really deliver the result I actually wanted. So if it comes to the details, I think both the devices have delivered good details, but if you talk a little bit more about the shadows, I think the iPhone 14 played much better at that end. But again, if you see the iPhone 14's image, you can sense that it is a little bit more over processed, but the leaves in the iPhone 14 side is actually much better when it comes to the trees because while some processing is required, some naturalness is required, I think the overall result, when it comes to overall result, the iPhone 14 is actually much better here than the OnePlus 11. So I'll show you some more shots with the sun behind us, okay? But right now what I'm going to show you next is a human subject against the sun, and this is natural capture with the 1x shot. So you can see that the iPhone 14 is actually giving you a much better result over here. The sun was right behind the subject, okay, and you can see that there's a little bit more exposure in the image of the OnePlus 11, while the iPhone 14 is capturing everything in a much more beautiful manner. I would not say that the OnePlus 11's image is bad, but compared to the iPhone 14, I would say it's worse. iPhone 14 really stands out here for me, and I will give the points easily to the iPhone 14 for this shot. But this is where things get tricky. So I thought OnePlus 11 has made a lot of claims about its camera and its zooming capabilities. So why not try that out over here? So what I did was I went with the portrait shot, okay, with the OnePlus 11, and this is the 2x portrait shot. So you can see that there's a sort of white layering in the human subject, okay, and if you see behind, again you can sense that the sort of distortion, and you can see that there's a lot of noise and again that overexposure sort of thing. While the iPhone 14 doesn't allow you to shoot at 2x portrait, the OnePlus 11 does. But if it comes to the overall results, I think the iPhone 14's image is again much better over here, and I would not really side with the portrait shot either. Now this is where things get even more interesting. Now, this is the 1x portrait shot taken by both the iPhone 14 as well as the OnePlus 11. You can see that the results of both the devices are actually very much different, and here it would just become a thing about preference, whether you would prefer the iPhone 14 or the OnePlus 11. I personally like the colors more on the iPhone 14 when it comes to the grass and of the subject, but the OnePlus 11 also does a very well job of capturing all the details. If you see, the portrait shot of the iPhone 14 doesn't capture the sun, while the OnePlus 11 does. So this is actually a very big difference. And if you also see the green sort of shade that is behind in the rest house, I think the OnePlus 11 captures it in a much better manner than the iPhone 14. So again, this is a portrait shot, and the subject in the OnePlus 11, actually the human subject I'm talking about, looks a little bit more sort of over processed. I don't know what's the right thing to say over here, but again I would say that the OnePlus 11's image is also as good as the iPhone 14's image. There's clear difference, okay, between the images, and here I think it would just become a sort of preference that users would have, and I have a feeling that many would go with the iPhone 14, but I actually appreciate what the OnePlus 11's camera did with capturing the sun as well when it came to the portrait shots. Let's take a look at the other image. Now this is what I was talking about. So I took a normal shot, okay, from the iPhone 14 and the OnePlus 11 of the subject that is standing against the sun. So here you can see that the iPhone 14 again pulls the image a lot. There's a bluish tone on the iPhone 14's image, while the OnePlus 11 retains all the natural colors. And there are some areas, very few areas, where the iPhone 14 is slightly ahead when it comes to capturing images from the OnePlus 11 so far. But I think when it comes to pictures against the sun, I think the OnePlus 11 is doing a much better job than it is when it is compared with the iPhone 14 when the sun is behind. So guys, here again it would also again sort of become a thing of preference. Many users might go with the image that is on the iPhone 14 side, and many would go with the OnePlus 11. So let me know in the comments which one you like the most. Let's take a look at this image, and things would become a lot more clear for you. Now this image clearly tells you how the iPhone 14 processes its images and how the OnePlus 11 does it. So I really like the result of the OnePlus 11. Now this is simply because of the colors that the OnePlus 11 has captured, because the colors on the iPhone 14 seems a little bit over processed to me. OnePlus 11 does a much better job when it comes to keeping things very much natural, and that is why if it comes to the preference for me personally, I would go with the OnePlus 11, because this is not how the reality look like if you see the image of the iPhone 14. Now this is an image that I took while I was walking. So both the cameras had to really work really fast, and the processors as well as the camera sensors and the camera system entire software came into play over here. So I was walking at a regular pace and I took this shot, and I think that both the shots are really good. But if it just comes to preference, I would again side with the OnePlus 11, because when I zoomed in, I actually found that there's a very slight distortion in the iPhone 14's image. I mean, I wish I could show you it over here as well, but that can only be zoomed in on the devices itself. So I would say if you like the iPhone 14's image, I have nothing against it, because iPhone 14's image is as good as it can get on an iPhone or any other flagship device. But the OnePlus 11 is also actually doing a very much good job over here, and it is actually sort of beating the iPhone 14. Now let's take a look at this shot. This is a normal shot that I took from the iPhone 14 and the OnePlus 11, and you can definitely make out what is the more natural color. I mean, the OnePlus 11 is doing such a better job at capturing the colors. Now this is where the Hasselblad is actually, I think, impressing me, because OnePlus claims that Hasselblad calibration does a much better job in keeping the colors natural and capturing more colors, and the iPhone 14 on the other hand, while it takes a good image, it I think over processes it a little bit more than what I would have liked. Let's move on to the other image, where I've taken the shot at 5x zoom, and you can clearly see, the iPhone 14's image is slightly on the right side and the OnePlus 7 is slightly on the left side, but you can see the two trees over here, right? Two big round sort of trees which have a lot of leaves. So you can see when it comes to the details as well as the colors when the shot is zoomed, when the camera is zoomed 5x, I think the OnePlus 11 is doing a much better job. Now this is a night shot. For the night shot, I think the iPhone 14 is sort of the winner for me. iPhone 14's image is much more sharper, clearer, and it doesn't overexpose a lot, but the OnePlus 11 is also capturing the details very well. But if you see, there's a sort of white shade going on all over the image, and the focus that was just the house is not really captured as well as it is captured on the iPhone 14. But I would say that the OnePlus 11, if it is tested to the great depths with the iPhone 14, can also produce some great results when it comes to night shots. This is the front camera sensor on both the devices. I think the iPhone 14 is capturing the image much better when it comes to the front sensor, because if you just look at the screen tones, this is what I personally don't like about the Chinese smartphones. They actually widen your face a lot, and the iPhone 14 doesn't do that. So this is where my camera comparison really ends for the images, and if you have to ask me, I would say in most of the areas I would prefer the OnePlus 11, but I wish there was a way OnePlus where the default settings that it gave was a better natural skin tone for the Indian users, because everyone doesn't want to look white as much as you think they do. But I think I would prefer more of the iPhone 14 selfie sensor over here. I'm not taking anything away from the OnePlus 11, because when it comes to the details, both the camera sensors are actually doing a really good job. At the end of the day, you can also edit the OnePlus 11's image, but why would I have to go through all that work if I can get that on the iPhone 14? This is something that you have to consider while thinking about buying both the devices. Now let's come to the video side of things. So guys, right now we are testing the video at 4K 60 FPS. Now you can see that there's a minimal difference between the videos of iPhone 14 as well as the iPhone 11 5G. At the end of the day, it's more of a preference, what you want. The stability mode has already been tested. I'll put the video ahead, so watch that as well. But right now you can also hear the audio difference between both the devices. So right now it's the OnePlus 11 5G and now it's the iPhone 14. And now it's time to check the stability video mode in both the smartphones. iPhone introduced it with the iPhone 14 this time for the first time, and it calls it the action mode. Let's check how it works. Well, very clearly, iPhone 14's action mode is way better than the OnePlus 11 stability mode. Now, what I really liked about both the smartphones were that both were pretty consistent in what they tried to deliver. But when it comes to picking one camera phone out of these two, I think I would side a little bit more with the iPhone when it comes to the overall videos. But when it comes to the images and some of the portrait shots, I think I would go with the OnePlus 11. And this is primarily because the images, the colors that were produced by the OnePlus 11 were way better than the iPhone 14. Now, comparatively, both the devices were pretty much similar. If we have to give a score, out of 10, I think I would give OnePlus 8.5 in the camera department, and an iPhone 14 would also stand in the same area, 8.5 or 9. So I think both the devices are pretty good when it comes to the camera. But if you consider the cost of both the devices, the OnePlus 11 is actually way more affordable than the iPhone 14.
So that is also something for you to consider. Well, this is it for now, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and also do let us know which device you thought was the better camera phone, and let us know in the comments that which device would you be going for in 2023. See you soon.